Hi, my name is Scott Thibodeau, and I'm happy to be presenting the Windows 10 troubleshooting course. So welcome. These are some of the topics we'll be talking about in this particular course. Generally, we'll be looking at the troubleshooting overview, the tools that we might use within the process to identify client issues that we've got in the Windows 10 space. Then we'll turn our attention to the boot process. What kind of things might happen during the boot process to stop the client machine from starting properly? We'll look at a normal boot process and work backwards to identify particular issues that we might run into. We'll also talk a little bit about drivers, their role in this process, services incorporated into this as well. We'll talk a little bit about hardware failure as well, what kind of things we might do if a device does fail. What are some more common devices that might fail and the process we would use to remediate those particular issues. Then we'll move into the login process and user profile issues. Authentication for the clients in a domain-based environment happens very often. So how does that process work? What kind of things might we run into, or the client specifically, that would cause logon issues? Additionally, we'll talk about the user profiles, where the profiles come from, the different kinds of profiles users might have on their client machines, local versus roaming, and so on, and what tools we might use to identify and remediate those particular issues as well. Troubleshooting network issues, we've got clients connecting primarily in an Ethernet network. We might have some Wi-Fi clients out there as well. But generally speaking, what are some of the IP-based scenarios or issues that clients might run into that we would have to resolve? So we'll look at the tools we might use in order to identify where the network connection issues are coming from, as well as name resolution, DNS, and so on. So we'll identify what particular things the client environment might be configured like and how to resolve those particular scenarios as well. We'll also take a look at troubleshooting the network resource access. So in that scenario, we have users trying to connect to a variety of different kinds of resources on file servers, printers, and the like on the network. So how do we get our clients connected to those resources? We'll be focusing primarily on our permissions and shares. We'll also talk a little bit about accessing resources through encrypted file system. So another type of security model we might apply to various files and folders. We'll identify that process and how we rectify that. Group policies are also implemented in many organizations. So there's a lot of moving parts within the group policy environment. So it's challenging sometimes to identify all the pieces that make up a group policy. So we'll take some time and unpack those components to identify where the pieces live, how they interact with each other, what tools we might have in order to identify on the server side, on the client side, what's happening, and the process to resolve group policy related issues. Additionally, clients work remotely quite often. So we'll talk about a variety of different technologies within the remote technology environment. We will focus more so on direct access and the process to get that configured, what issues clients might have in that environment as well. Browser issues, we'll be focusing on, of course, IE 11, Internet Explorer 11, and the Edge browser, as they both come with Windows 10. So we'll compare those two, contrast those, different settings you might have applied in either one of those, and some new feature sets within the Edge browser that users might not be aware of or maybe ask us questions about in the help desk environment. And then finally, we'll talk about troubleshooting lost data. Lost data can happen through a variety of different functions. It could be hardware related, could be virus, could be accidental deletion. So we'll talk a little bit about the various tools we have access to in Windows 10 to try to recover lost data for the users.